Hey everyone, welcome to another Coturnix Corner Live. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Tonight we are going to be talking about marketing and promoting your quail business and how to stand out from the crowd. With me today is Linda from Gully Rumpus Farms, and she is our marketing professional. Welcome, Linda.
Hi, Terry.
Hey. We're going to be taking your questions later on, guys. But if you would do me a favor and hold off, say to like the 30-minute mark, or maybe 20 to 30-minute mark before you start posting questions, because I want to let Linda get through her presentation, and I don't want to miss any of your guys' questions. So about the 20-30 minute mark, and if our moderators can kind of post that every 10 minutes or so just to remind them, that would be great. I do have a couple quick announcements to get through real quick. Big shout out to our sponsors, Southwest Game Birds and Hatching Time. If you go over to southwestgamebirds.com, you can get a 10% off of any purchase you make on their website when you use the coupon code Coturnix Corner. And also, Hatching Time has donated another $50 gift certificate to give away tonight, and that can be used over on their website at hatchingtime.com. And also, I am going to be giving away another Coturnix Corner Live coffee cup to one lucky winner tonight. So you guys stick around to the end of the show and see if you won one of those prizes we got. So I want to announce that we have a new series on the Coturnix Corner Facebook group page. It's called Coturnix Quail Color Genetics, and that is hosted by Allie of Maine's Confetti Quail Farm. Her episodes are streamed live over on the Facebook channel, but we also repost them here on the Coturnix Corner YouTube channel. And I think everyone should have a basic understanding of quail genetics, just to kind of help you understand what can be expected, from different breedings, different color bird breedings. And also, if you're selling hatching eggs, there won't be any surprises on your customers' end when you go to sell eggs. So I want to thank our moderators tonight, Lauren and Henriette. Thank you guys for being in there. I really appreciate it. And that is about it for the announcements. So we're not going to drag this one out tonight. Hopefully we can get through it without having to run too late. So, Linda, if you're ready, go ahead with your presentation.
All right. If you could bring up the first slide, Terry, that'd
Absolutely.
be great. All right. So, as Terry said, my name is Linda. I am going to talk tonight with you about starting a quail egg business. Being somebody who's familiar with marketing but new to the quail industry, so I have lessons learned to share with you as a newbie, and hopefully some things that might inspire you along the way. So, next slide. A little bit about me. I'm a former teacher. For about the last 15 years, I've been doing freelance marketing and graphic design, mostly for companies that support children who are learning American Sign Language, Signing Time, and the American Society for Deaf Children. And it's work that I really love. My husband and I have raised 3 boys. And when we became empty nesters, we decided to move onto a houseboat in the Sacramento River Delta. And as you can see there from this picture of our backyard, my husband really enjoyed boat life, and I did too. But I really felt the pull to farming, and so he traded our backyard of salmon and sea lions for a backyard with horses and hens, and because he loves me and he's been a really great and supportive partner. So I'm new at farming. We've been here a couple of years. We have about 2.5 acres. So that's a little bit about me. Next slide, Terry. Okay, so starting a farm enterprise or a business is kind of like playing pinball. And so I'm going to share with you my pinball journey. Throw an idea out there and try something, and sometimes it hits, sometimes the idea bounces around and gathers steam, and sometimes it comes back and it's a dud and I have to put another idea out there. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about my pinball journey. Next slide. All right. I started by going to the California Farm Academy, and which is luckily nearby. And it was a great 9-month program that prepared me to do a business plan for farming. I learned a lot about soil health and agriculture. But my big takeaways from that experience were this. Um, the three things to guiding principles in setting up a farm and enterprise is to know what you value. It guides a lot of decisions on the farm. Do what you love and do something unique, different from everybody else. Because as small farm producers, we are competing with the big guys, and it's really hard to do that. So if we do something a little bit different from everybody else and find our niche in the market, then we're a lot better off. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is the first pinball I sent out, and I stuck with what I knew. I was very very familiar with chickens. I had hatched chickens in my classroom as a teacher. Also, my kids had chickens. My youngest loved chickens, had about 45 at one point, and then I was involved in a business called Rent a Chicken Sacramento, where we built chicken coops and rented them out to families who wanted to try having backyard chickens. They had 2 or 3 chickens in their coop, and they kept them for about 3 months. And if they liked having chickens, they would buy their coop. If they didn't like that experience, we would take it back to the farm and rent them out to another family. So definitely was in my comfort zone. We rescued 320 chickens from a production facility, an organic production facility that was shutting down. And so we the farmers market season had already begun, but luckily I had a friend who ran a farmers market. She was not happy with the egg vendor. She was really gracious to let me come in and sell my eggs at the market. It was a market with that served kind of a lower to middle income area, and they had a market match program, a dollar match for every dollar in food stamps that people brought in. It was doubled by the market sponsor, and so that they were able to buy more produce and pay local farmers a fair price. So it's a really great market. However, my price at that market was capped at $6 a dozen. That might sound like a lot to some of you, but in California, Northern California, where I am, most small farmers were getting anywhere from $8 to $10 a dozen for their farm fresh eggs. Okay, next slide. Okay, so here's what I learned about selling at the farmer's market. People want to connect with you. They're the people who are producing their eggs or their vegetables or their beef. They really want to know you and know how you produce your food and what you're all about, but they're really shy. They will not come and up to the table and talk to you. And, I tried, I'd say good morning, I'd make eye contact, but most people would just like kind of walk away fast because, again, they're shy. It was during the kind of time of COVID, and so I couldn't really give out samples or anything like that. So I needed to find a way to engage with people to get them to buy from me. So next slide, Terry. So what worked for me in that setting was really fun packaging. I started out with the regular shaped dozen eggs, and it was in a brown box, and it wasn't very exciting. So I went to eggcartons.com, ended up really liking their egg cartons, and went with some purple and some green, and it really helped the color of the eggs pop. But the most fun I had was with the octagon containers that you can see here. And that worked. People would like take a double take, look at those and go, oh my gosh, that is so interesting. Where did you get that? And some people bought eggs not because they needed them. They already had eggs in their fridge, but they wanted to have that particular that packaging. So that was something that helped me engage with people in a more natural way. Another thing is that I had an egg scale up on the table, and when people bought a dozen eggs, it was a mix of sizes, anywhere from small to extra large, and so the kids could take out the eggs and guess what size they were going to be, guess how much they were going to weigh, and put them up on the scale. So that was really fun. And at the very end of the season, I started getting my first quail eggs, and this was my first inkling into how people would react to them. So I had a sample dozen on the table, and kids loved them. They had the celadon eggs, so the blue eggs, and they would take them home, and parents would come back and say, my daughter has that little blue egg on a pillow on her desk, and it's been there for weeks. So they remembered it and really enjoyed it. So those are the things that worked for me, and hopefully you got some ideas there for some things that might work for you too. Terry, next slide. All right, at the end of the season, I sat down and said, okay, did this work? I sold out every week. I met lots of nice people, and I learned how to engage people at the farmers market. There were some challenges that season. We had a lot of heat, some very intense heat. I think we were at about 116 for a few days that summer, and a lot of smoke from fires. So it led to a very uneven lay rate. My profit margin was only about 50 cents a dozen. And part of that was because I had to use really good feed. That's another story that I'll get into later on. The hens were in a pen and not a pasture. And at the end of the season, they were done. These were production hens, and they just weren't laying good eggs anymore. And so this enterprise wasn't scalable for us. So decided probably not. But next slide, Terry. I went ahead and used my three guiding principles that I got from the Farm Academy. Know what you value. And I learned from that experience that I valued a deeper connection with my customer than I was able to make at the farmer's market. I wanted people to come to the farm. I wanted them to see what I was doing and to have more than just seeing them maybe every month or every 2 or 3 weeks. Do what you love. This was a lot of work for not very much profit, a lot. And was it unique? No, my eggs were 50 shades of beige. There's just nothing special about them other than the story of rescuing them, which was interesting, but not enough to make it last. So we decided not to continue with that enterprise. That pinball machine hit the gutter, and I had to put another one out. Was it quail? Not yet, because I only had a couple dozen quail, and I wanted to grow and expand the flock. So next slide, Terry. Again, I kind of stuck with what I knew. I was very familiar with hatching, had done a little bit of hatching through the Rent a Chicken Sacramento program. So started hatching at home. And in this program, people get an incubator and a brooder and everything they need with 7 chicken eggs or 12 quail eggs. And they can hatch at home or at school. When they're done, they could return the chicks or keep their chicks. And if they keep their chicks, they end up with roosters, because most of these are straight run, and their roosters could come back to live on the farm. So this enterprise was a lot of fun, and it was a wonderful way to involve people in my community in growing my celadon flock. So next slide, Terry. Okay, so here's what I learned about selling the hatching kits. So this was during the pandemic, and parents were really hungry to find educational enrichment activities that they could do at home that would engage their kids. And so this fit in perfectly. And so I reached out to my network, friends and family, and customers loved this experience. The kids and the parents, but I kind of think the parents enjoyed it even more. I had grown-ups break down crying in my driveway when they were trying to tell me how much this experience meant to them of hatching and seeing the chicks grow. Had one family tell me that it was hands down the best thing that they had ever done together as a family. So it brought a lot of joy, but I had a problem because I'd already tapped out my friends and family network, and now I needed to reach more people and let them know about the program. So next slide, Terry. Okay, so pro tip: morning news shows need to fill hours of content every day, and they're looking to focus on something local that's fun and interesting, and so it's a great way to get publicity. So if you look at the picture in the bottom right, you might recognize Kathy Park. She was a local Sacramento correspondent, and she came out and did a story when I had Rent a Chicken. And she is smiling there and trying not to look as uncomfortable as she was. She was very uncomfortable holding that chicken. But now she is a national NBC correspondent, and super proud of her, and glad to see her go on. But she that experience taught me about the morning news shows, because we not only was I on that station, I was on 2 or 3 other stations. So to get started, had a friend who writes for Sacramento Magazine, and she did an article about us, and that got the attention of the local Fox News station, and they came out and did a live segment. They came out to the farm and did 2 different segments within the same hour. So before I had been able to say goodbye to the reporters and come back into the house, my phone was ringing. And I was able to book customers for months after that, after that piece aired. So contact your local morning news shows about your business, local magazines, and then wonderful thing that worked well for me is reaching out and finding a partner. I have Wendy from Feather Baby Farms, who is a national chicken breeder. She ships hatching eggs for chickens, specialty breeds out all over the country, and she's fantastic. So she manages the chicken part of it. I manage the quail part of it. And together we work really well and do more than we could have done individually. So next slide. So going back to the guiding principles, this experience taught me that, yes, I do really value that deeper connection with customers. They came out to the farm to pick up their kits. They came out to the farm to drop off their kits and their chicks. Got to text with them sometimes late at night. And being their chick doula helped me get to know them really well. And this was an enterprise that brings nothing but joy to me, and the profit margins were good. So, and it's unique. Nobody else is doing it in the area. So if you want to start a hatching business, contact me. It's really fun. So that led me to my next enterprise, which was, drumroll please, next slide, Terry. Quail eggs. I finally made it. I got there. So this year, the flock was big enough to where I felt like I could find a client for my eggs. But before I tell you about the process of getting a grocery store account and how that happened, I want to tell you a little bit about how I raise my quail here on the farm. So next slide. All right, so remember the story about the chickens, the rescued chickens? Okay, I always thought organic chickens were treated well, or chickens that were fed organic feed were treated well. Come to find out, when we rescued those chickens and they got to our farm, we were shocked. The farmers in the area who had adopted these chickens too were speechless. They came to us with, these were red feathered chickens, right? They had white faces and white, their legs and feet were completely white because they were so depleted of vitamins. They were fed organic corn and organic soy and nothing else. And we think that they were kept on lights and pushed and pushed and pushed to lay until they were 13 months old. They should have been able to go for at least 2 more seasons, but they just couldn't. So I spent about a month nursing these chickens back to health, and the feed played a really important part in that. And I'm lucky enough to live near Delta Farms and Loomis, and they are the only supplier for Coturnix feeds. This is a company that's based in northern Idaho. It's a co-op of different grain growers. And the feed that I have is corn-free and soy-free because some of my customers have allergies. It's non-GMO, and they test at the mill when the feed comes in. They test to see if it's been exposed to Roundup. Glyphosates, I think, is what they test for. It's at 3.5% calcium, so that it works really well and 17% protein. So it's right in that range where I need it to be for the my layer quail, for my celadon quails that are laying. I feel like they do need a little bit more protein, and so I do supplement in the summertime. Black soldier flies are they're super easy to grow here, and so I use those. And then in the wintertime, I use mealworms, although I don't grow my own yet. I've heard it's really fun and easy, but I just haven't had time to set that up. So that's a little bit about my feed. Next slide, Terry. Okay, housing. I don't have anybody on wire cages, and I am not judging people who do keep their quail in wire cages. I'm lucky enough to have the room here to have them on the ground, and so I prefer to do that. But I know that that for some people, especially if you're doing more production, it's not practical, it's not feasible. So no judgments there. I've got a brooder where I use a combination of peat moss and wood pellets. So it works really nice. And then I have a tiered grow out cage that's outside, but they have secure areas to go into to get out of the weather. And then my husband, who loves me so much, he spent hours and hours and hours building this 40 by 8 foot aviary for me, which I love, and the quail love. So it's got 3 sections. As you can see, it's got a patio in the front. The middle section is peat moss, and I found out that they like peat moss just as well as sand to dust bathe in. And then the last part is wood chips, I cut branches and throw plants in there. I do have more plants now because they do really like getting under branches and laying eggs under there. So, and I do my daily collection, my daily egg hunt, Easter egg hunts in there, and something that brings me a lot of joy. Since this picture was taken, I've switched from the waterer that you see there to a nipple waterer system, and I had never had my quail on the nipple waterers, and within 20 minutes they got it. They understood what it was for, and they use it, and it makes maintaining their water really easy. Okay, next slide. Okay, I wash my eggs a little bit differently. I use Stromberg's egg wash, which is very strong for a short soak. And then I individually wash each egg. Like I scrub you know how the celadon eggs are kind of lightly speckled? I did some market research, and I talked to farming friends and family, and the consensus was that if those were in a package and it had a little bit of that speckling on it, that to people it looked dirty to them, and it looked like the eggs weren't clean. So I decided to go ahead and spend that extra time to wash the eggs, and I inspect them individually before they're packaged. And why do I do this? Because my birds are outside, and it rains and poop happens, they are not clean when they come in, and a quick rinse it may not get all the poop off. Blue eggs, those blue celadon eggs, when they're cleaned up, look, those Jordan almonds, those chocolate covered almonds that have the pastel colored shell on the outside, the coating, the candy coating. These things look just like Jordan almonds. And so I know that a kid is going to think it's candy and pop it in their mouth. And I sleep a lot better at night knowing that these are really, really clean. If I was only selling speckled eggs, I would watch Terry's video on washing eggs, which is an excellent video, and follow that. It's a lot quicker, honestly, and it will do the job. But because I'm doing it the way that I am, I use an egg washer, and we're going to talk about this is a chicken egg washer, and I'm going to talk about my quail egg hack for this washer at the end. Terry's got a video to show you, so more on that later. Okay, next slide. So I'm in Northern California, right? And so my ideal customer, there's a lot of them here. These are foodies, people who like to try new things, people who value clean food, which is non-GMO, organic, those kinds of things. They want to know how their food is raised. Think Portlandia. They're invested in where their food comes from. Some of the customers that I serve also have allergies to corn or soy or eggs. We don't know if egg allergies have to do with what the chickens eat. So if the chickens are eating corn and soy, the egg allergy might actually be related to that. So I know that quail eggs are a great option for people who have allergies, but I want to make it even safer by feeding a corn-free, soy-free feed so that issue isn't transferred to the quail egg. So that's my ideal customer, and knowing and getting really clear about who that customer is. And your customer may be different. It may be, you know, have a completely different profile, and it's okay. You need to serve the customers that you are comfortable with. But for me and this particular enterprise, that's who I wanted, and it made it easier to design the packaging, knowing who these people were. Okay, next slide. All right, so I was ready to go to a grocery store and get an account. I had the birds were laying enough eggs, but I had this nagging question: will people buy these? Like, I know the kids were interested in them at the farmers market, but like I didn't actually know. So I went onto the Facebook groups and asked, like, okay, is anybody selling these at a grocery store? And some people wrote back and said, yeah, oh, we're selling them at the farmers market, and that's good because you can be there to talk to people about the benefits of quail eggs and do the education that you need to do. But I wanted to go to a grocery store, and I wasn't sure that people would buy in a grocery store. So, and I wasn't sure how much they'd pay. So I know that the price negotiation was going to happen with the grocery store, and I had no idea where to start with that. Also, I didn't know if the grocery store would be the ideal place because nobody is there to tell them like about the benefits, and you have to rely on packaging for that. So I was very lucky. My friend John, who runs the Refarmery here, in Rio Linda, he asked me to run a farmer's market booth in Natomas. So I went there on a weekly basis, and I was selling his vegetables. And I asked him if I could put quail eggs out at the end of the table, and he said sure. So we did this for 6 weeks. So next slide, Terry. I priced them at $5, which I thought was fair for a package of 15, and this is how they look. There are, I didn't put in any print materials about quail, the nutritional value of the eggs or where quail came, that these were Japanese quail versus California quail, none of that, because I wanted to kind of see how people would react to that, to the eggs without that benefit of having the extra information. And minimal packaging. This particular market is, like Sacramento itself, incredibly diverse. We have people from all over the world here. It's one of the most integrated cities in the US. So had a lot of different people from different ethnic backgrounds represented, and a lot of diversity in the income levels. They had a market match program like the other one, but they were very high in customers as well as people using food stamps. So it was great. So we tried it out, and guess what? Every week, well, first of all, it was fun to watch people's reactions, right? Because they would like just go, "What is that?" and want to know more. People would like go, "Why would you even buy that? Like, it would take 2 dozen to make an omelet." They were just not into it, but some people were enamored with them. And even though I got the range of reactions, every week we sold out. And not only did we sell out, like, it wasn't even at the end of the market, we sold out in the first 90 minutes. No matter how many cartons I brought, they were gone first thing. Like, people would just go, "Yeah, I'll take 2." So that made me feel confident enough to go to the Sacramento Natural Foods Co-op, which is the largest and oldest natural food store in Sacramento. They have one location, and they are serving my target market. So I had this information in hand and decided to go for it. So next slide. Okay, so I did talk to them, and I was able to talk to the merchandise manager, and she gave me some really good ideas, and she told me what they needed. I, on purpose, did not approach them. I did not design the packaging until after I had talked to them. because I wanted to make sure that on the packaging that I included everything that they wanted for their particular store, right? So the first thing that I did was, after talking to them, was go take a picture, this picture of their egg case, because I wanted to see where my tiny little egg cartons were going to be competing. And as you can see, uh, there's some color there. Most of it's green. Vital Farms uses black with the red that pops out. There's a little bit of orange, a little bit of blue, mostly bold, bright colors. And I noticed that there weren't any egg cartons that were plastic where you could see through to see what the eggs look like. So that was a challenge. Yeah, so got some information there. Next slide, Terry. And then I went online because I really felt like I wanted to reach younger, like millennial, younger than me, because I'm old. So younger audience. And so I researched color trends for millennials, and I researched like what online outlets are they at. So they're at Amazon and Etsy and Rakuten and some other sites. And I noticed that these, I guess what I would describe as bold pastels, came up a lot. So I decided to kind of go with the salmony color that's represented in that bottom right picture. All right, next slide. The store told me they did not want plastic. Their customers wouldn't go for that. So we needed a paper carton. They really liked this 15-count quail egg carton, and I get it from eggcartons.com. It's very sturdy and well made. I guess my only complaint about it is it doesn't fit the really big eggs. But other than that, I really like it. So they told us we needed to show the eggs on the packaging. And they had the brilliant idea, the merchandising manager had a brilliant idea of using a belly band. I hadn't even thought of that. I was going to put a sticker on the top. But with a belly band, it got me a lot more space underneath, on top, on the sides. So that was good. They told me they were going to maybe display them upright, like the one on the top. But in the end, they decided to stack them and sideways. So that's why you see the content repeated on the top, on the side, because I wanted people to know what it was quickly, because you just have a couple of seconds in a grocery store setting for people to look at what you have to offer and decide if they're going to get it. The belly band had to be printed on water-resistant paper, and it's expensive. I'm not kidding you. It's really expensive. These I hope to be able to order more next time, but they ended up costing about $1 a piece, like way more than the carton, way more than the eggs cost me. But it was the store's requirement, and they look good. So there you go. We went with it. Okay, next slide. So here we're going to take a deep dive into the packaging so that you can see my thought process behind the decisions that were made. And you'll do the same thing, and you could tailor the words that you use and the images that you use to your particular target market. Okay, so nobody knows what a Coturnix is, and Celadon, it's the same with Celadon. And even though I would use those words to describe where these eggs came from, I knew that it would probably alienate people, and it's already a different color than they're used to, a different size than they're used to. I didn't want to push it. So I went with Japanese quail and blue eggs. And the word that modified blue, I had a list of about 25. And we agonized over this for days. Like, what is the best word? And I asked a bunch of people, what is the best word to describe this color blue? And ended up going with porcelain. The downside of porcelain for me is that it reminds me of toilets, right? But like, if you think of porcelain china, it evokes an image of a light blue, and it also goes well with the Asian theme. You've got the word Japanese on there, and also the font choice was very Asian looking. So I wanted to kind of reinforce that theme. I wanted people to know that they were getting more than a dozen in this package. And then the bullet points speak specifically to the target market, and we kind of already went over those. All right, next slide. Again, copy the content from the top to the side so that people could see it if the eggs were stacked. And then on the other side, I used it for cross promotion for the hatching program, and which I love having that opportunity because, again, it's reaching the same kind of demographics that I need to reach for that program as well. Okay, next slide. Okay, so a lot of details here on the bottom. I included my picture, not because I love seeing pictures of myself, but I want people to connect with me as a person and get to know their farmer, right? They want that. The address, name of the farm and address is required by the state, and I'll say that I did ask the California Department of Food and Agriculture about what their guidelines were for what needed to be on quail egg cartons in terms of what information needed to be there, and they said there's no official guidelines. So I just used the guidelines for chicken eggs. So included name and address, website for the farm. CA 2011 is my egg handler's license number, and keep refrigerated is required for chicken eggs. The laid on date is has to be done in Julian form. So when I write it out, it's that. And if you don't know what that is, look it up. It's a way people hide the date from consumers. It's kind of a code for a specific day of the year. Don't agree with it, but I use it just because it's industry standard. And then a sell by date, which is 30 days from the lay date. I wish, and next time I have these printed, after we go through all 500 of them, I'm going to scoot everything over and put the nutritional information on there. And I am interested in sending in some of my eggs and getting the nutritional content evaluation done. I don't know how much that is, but I think it would just be really interesting to see how that shakes out and how that compares to other eggs on the market, both quail eggs and chicken eggs. Okay, next slide. All right, and then people are going to rip off that belly band and throw it away. And but on the underside of the lid, you've got space there to cross promote or to take people to your website. I usually have something about quail egg scissors there, but I use this opportunity before the holidays to cross promote hatching at home. Okay, next slide. All right, so after I've been doing this for 5 months, I think. So I sat down and did the evaluation. Profit margin's really good. And I know a lot of you probably wondering, like, okay, how much are they selling these eggs for? So here you go. I didn't set the price. They did. They knew exactly what they wanted to charge for these the minute they saw them. And they said $10, and it ends up that they're charging $10.99 for a 15 pack, which I know is really expensive, but people are buying them. So that's great, right? And so I know you're going to want to know what I'm getting out of that. And I would want to know if I were you too. And I thought about whether or not to tell you, but so I want to respect their privacy as an organization that works with many farmers in our area. So they are very generous. And what I can tell you is this: when they work with local farmers who they're very committed to supporting, they pay between 50 and 70% of the retail price to the farmer for their goods. So again, very generous. So the profit margin was good. It was enough for me to be able to continue to buy this wonderful feed that I have. It's easy for me. I do 2 to 3 deliveries a month. I can cross promote. I participated in a fall festival that the store had. It's scalable. I have enough room for mobile coops for more of the aviaries, so that's not a problem. The downsides are time spent washing. And the new washer has cut down on that tremendously. I think I went from 17 minutes to 11 minutes per flat, which is about 104. Cost of the carton we talked about, and the cost of the belly band are higher than what I'd normally pay. But again, the profit margins were there to make it worth. So big thumbs up on this enterprise. Next slide. Now, going back to the guiding principles, what this taught me about what I value is that I really value the quality feed. I do think it makes a difference in taste. My friend Ruth, who is maybe in on this call, texted me yesterday to say, "Wow, your yolks are so much oranger than mine. Like, what feed are you using?" So I think it makes a difference in the taste and in the look of the eggs, and the natural habitats I really value. Do I love this? I love, like you guys. I'm preaching to the choir here. Like, I love caring for these birds. I love being around them. I love my daily Easter egg hunt, and I do love the profits with this particular enterprise. And is it unique? Yes. Nobody else is selling Celadon eggs in this market. But I'm working with another local farmer and helping her get started setting up her own quail egg enterprise with Celadons. And that way, and you might think, well, that's crazy because you guys are going to compete with each other. And absolutely not. We will be respectful of each other's space. And I can call her if I'm short. A few cartons to be able to fulfill an order, and vice versa. So I really love having those kinds of partnerships. Okay, next slide. Okay, and that being said, I really have enjoyed being on the Facebook groups with you guys. The quail community is awesome. I love it. And I want to hear about your quail egg business, your quail business, whether you're selling for meat, you're selling for, balut, or selling, just any number of things, the live birds, or if you're breeding. I want to hear from you. So if you have any questions here that aren't addressed tonight, feel free to contact me at gullyrumpus.com, gullyrumpus@gmail.com. And hopefully we'll put that in the chat. I don't think that's up anywhere. I have a weird farm name. It's GULLYRUMPUS, like the wild rumpus. Okay. Next slide, Terry. Okay, so backstory behind the little egg scrubber. I really realized quickly that I needed something to make washing the eggs a little faster and more efficient. So I did some research, and the only thing that I found that I thought could possibly work was a little egg scrubber. And I was delighted to find online when they talked about how they had a quail egg version of their little egg scrubber. So I ordered it, and got it and took it over to my friend Nancy Joe's house, and we unboxed it, and we're very excited. But I noticed that there wasn't anything in the packaging that had to do with quail eggs, and so I called the owner and said, "Hey, I just want to make sure that you sent me the quail egg version of the little egg scrubber." And he said, "I absolutely did not, and there's no way I would have." And so apparently it was still up on the website, but they had only sold it for a few months and were not happy with the results. So they took their quail egg version of the little egg scrubber off the market. So what I had in my hand was something for chicken eggs. So in this video that you're going to see, I show first what it was like without my hack. And you can kind of see there in the picture, I've got some silicone straws and stuff to hold the eggs in place. They were dropping through in between those scrubbers. And it happened quick. So I slowed down the video. I think it's at like 75% speed. So you can kind of see it happening. And then the second half of the video is after the hack. And what difference you can see the difference. I thought about giving you guys the step-by-step directions for the hack and decided not to do it here. If you want the directions and I'm happy to share with you, but I want to email it to you, and I want to, because it's new, and I think that there are some really smart people in our community, and I would really like for us to share, to build on this together and make improvements on it, because I think there's probably room for improvements. So if you want to know how to make this hack, email me, and I will definitely share the directions with you. Okay, Terry, we're ready for the video. All right, as you can see, that egg just went straight down. Sometimes they would stay, like it was okay. And then sometimes they'd roll over the top like that. But they did if the egg were to stay in place, it did a pretty good job in scrubbing them. So I was kind of happy about that. Um, and so anyway, that's kind of basically how it works. I think I made this too long. Okay, there it goes. Sometimes it would, yeah, take a while for it to go under. And these eggs don't look good. They're my rejects, my uglies that I was using for this particular video. So these are not eggs I would pack. Okay, so now you're going to see the next part with the modifications. So there's my cutting board, drilled some holes, put some bolts in, and the zip tied some silicone straws on top of that, the bolts, and secured them with nuts and washers. And I feed those in between the 3 rollers. So there's one on each side to kind of fill in the gaps there. And so as you can see, the eggs roll. They stay in place a little bit more than before, but it actually gives it a deeper scrub. And then I take the eggs, and I still, even after they have gone through this, I will take one of those green scrubbing pads and still scrub the rest. So I had to adjust it a little bit there to give it more room, and then I was a little bit happier with the way the eggs were rolling. So again, if you guys have ideas for how to improve this, I would love for you to try it out. If you have a little egg washer and have the time to kind of tinker with this, I'd love to get your input. Okay, so as I said, that cut my wash time down by 40%, and I'm super happy with that. Anyway, that is it. That is my hack for the quail egg scrubber, and that is the end of my presentation. And I'm really excited now to hear questions from you guys and engage in conversations.
Perfect. That was interesting. You gave me a lot of good ideas.
Good. That's what I wanted to do.
I mean, I don't sell eggs. Yeah, I don't sell eggs for like stores and stuff, but I do have a lot of customers locally, that come over and buy eating eggs and hatching eggs and whatnot. So,
yeah.
All right, let me see if I can get down to some of these questions here. Okay, Del Choo says, I joined late. Why is the feed free of corn and soy? Benefits and advantages. I'm in a tropical country, and most of the feed available is 50% corn, maybe more.
Right. Corn-free and soy-free feed is difficult to get in some places. I do it because I've got customers that have allergies, and they're wanting to stay away from corn and soy specifically. So that's why I do it.
Okay. He also says, I don't know if he or she, Del Choo says, your setup is gorgeous, and that's an amazing aviary. I agree 100%.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Let's see here. That's kind of interesting here. It says, the beginning investor says, grow your own black soldier fly grow really well in tropical environments. Mix with duckweed for more proteins, grow fodder, find a way to introduce calcium, etc.
Yeah. Beginning investor, this was my first year growing black soldier flies successfully. And once they got going, man, they were so productive. And it was great because when I processed male birds, all I needed to do was toss them into the bin, and they were gone the next day. Everything was gone. It's an incredible way to compost. And the birds really, one thing I need to say about the black soldier fly larva, the final larva was pretty big for the birds, and I realized that they had kind of a harder time getting into it. So I actually harvested before they got to the final larva stage, when they were kind of like the smaller little worms. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that would work for you, but anyway, I found that was better for me.
All right. Henriette's got a pretty interesting comment too. It says, what we do at farmer markets, we take 2 quail birds to the market. The kids love them and play with them. The kids are our attraction for potential customers, work every time.
Oh, that is a brilliant idea,
Yeah.
Henriette. And I love that. If I were able to bring birds to the farmer's market, I would. Here, the certified farmers markets are very particular about, especially like no dogs, no,
Right.
nothing here. So, yeah, animals weren't an option, but I love that idea.
Okay. Battleborn Urban Farm says, do you need a producer license to sell quail eggs to a grocery store?
Um, I do have my California producer certificate. They did not ask for one. I have my California egg handler's license.
Hmm.
And I didn't need a business license, but I went ahead and got one because it's gray area for some, like, because I sell the quail egg scissors in addition to the eggs. And so I just wanted to be covered. So I went ahead and got those. But yeah, it's going to be different in every state. It'd be good for somebody to come up with like a Google spreadsheet where we could all like put in the requirements for our state.
Hmm.
So when somebody's new and wants to start a quail egg business, we can just go there and check because that would save people a lot of time.
Right.
Good
How
question.
would you? I got a quick question. How would you apply what you said in your presentation to selling hatching eggs? I mean, I'm
Mm.
trying. I was trying to, think of some ways like Michael from Southwest Gamers. Have you ever seen
Mhm.
his packaging or his boxes?
Oh, yes,
They're
yes.
amazing.
Beautiful packaging. It's
Yeah.
really very impressive, professional looking inside and out. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other tips for hatching or selling hatching eggs?
Yeah, because it would be a different customer, right? And they
Hmm.
would have different priorities and yeah. And so Terry, you're thinking about like the packaging for your hatching eggs for so like when you mail them out, you're thinking about or is it more like messaging on your website
Yeah, I'm thinking
or
more
both?
like advertising tips. To
Hmm.
the pack. My packaging is just the basic USPS boxes. I can't afford
Hmm.
to do like Michael's doing, but it
Hmm.
would be nice to just come up with something to stand out a little bit different.
Yeah,
From some of the other
yeah.
breeders as far as advertising goes.
I'll put some thought into that and get back to you.
Cool. Okay, Battleborn Urban Farm says, do you need to be licensed for a farmer's market?
Yes, the farmers market did require us to have egg handlers licenses, those and producer certificates, and those had to be posted at all times. All of our banners needed to say we grow what we sell, because farmers markets, at least here in California, they had people coming to sell at the farmers market who didn't actually grow anything. They would just pick it up from Southern California, bring it up here, set it out on a table, and sell it. So yeah, I was visited by the inspector twice this year at the Natomas Farmers Market. So they're here. They're very particular about monitoring the farmers at the market and making sure. And if you had something out on your table that wasn't listed on your producer certificate, then you'd get fined
Really?
potentially. Hmm. Yeah. Yep. You have to tell them what you're going to grow in advance and have nothing but that on the table.
Okay. There's that thing again where you're blinking out. We never did
I
figure out what was
know.
causing
I
that.
know. I'm so
That's okay.
sorry.
That's no problem. Might be on my end. Lauren says, for your hatching program, how did you make sure you got your incubator back, etc.? Do you charge a deposit? How does that work?
I don't. It's $200. They pay up front to reserve it, and it's local. Again, they come to my farm. They meet me. I meet them. There's only been a couple of times where I had like kind of a weird feeling,
Mm.
but in the end, because I'm in touch with them throughout the hatching process, I'm sending them an email on candling day. I'm texting them on lockdown day, that kind of thing. Because of the communication, the trust is built in. Um, and I just take that chance. But I'm aware that is a chance that I'm taking that a kit may not come back.
Is that geared more towards kids to do the hatching, or?
Yeah, it's parents mostly. This past year has been parents, and now we just put together a curriculum. So we're wanting to go into schools with it.
Okay. Yusuf says, what licenses do you need? I'm not sure exactly where Yusuf's at. I think he's up like in Maine area, somewhere up on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Is there a federal license or whatever that you need?
I don't know of any
Or
federal. I think it's all managed at the state level. But again, I think it would be great for somebody who has the time in our Quail community to put together a list of, state by state and let us all go in and say, yeah, for California, here are the three things you need. And then somebody from Maine can pop in and put in their information.
right. Okay. Uh, you've already answered part of this question, but James says, when you were renting out the incubators, A, did you require deposits and or contracts? And B, how much did you have to invest in equipment to do
Okay,
this?
I started the program without having a lot of money, and so I started out with just a couple incubators, and then every so many rentals, I could save up enough money to get another kit. So I just grew it as naturally as I got customers, which was really nice. Once I got a piece of advertising, like a magazine article or something like that, that would bring me a new group of customers, and I would just take that money and put it right back into the kits. I did spend we spent time and money researching terms and conditions and not a non-disclosure, uh, um, not a hold harmless. What word am I thinking of, Terry?
Liability?
Yes, release of liability form. Thank you. Uh, I put that legal mumbo jumbo way back, way back.
Yep.
Yeah. So we did spend a lot of time putting those together, and people agree to it at the time of checkout. And the reason why and we have good insurance, and the reason why is because as we all know, birds carry salmonella. All birds naturally in their gut, and so there's a chance that somebody's not going to wash their hands and touch their mouth, and then they get salmonella. So,
Mhm.
interesting thing. Side note about I should do another show on the hatching program. But anyway, yeah, there's some interesting things going on with insurance after COVID. Was not able to get insurance for any kind of communicable disease, including salmonella and E.
Really?
coli. Yeah, they
Wow.
just said you might have been able to get that before COVID, but not now.
Hmm.
So that's why we spent time and money researching the
Sure.
terms.
Sure. Uh, this is about liability. James says, did you need liability insurance to close the deal with the grocery store?
I think I did. I think I got them as a named insured on my policy. It cost a little bit. I can't remember how much it was, but yeah,
Okay.
good question.
I can't believe the prices that they're asking for the eggs at the store. That's amazing.
I was shocked. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's Northern California. We live in a
Right. Yep.
different world.
Jesse says, did you have different packaging made for each customer demographic, or settle on using the design for the largest customer base? Boy, what can't even read here.
Yeah, that is a really good question, Jesse. I started with the designing for the food co-op because they're right now my only customer. I take almost every egg that is laid and set it aside for the co-op. I didn't want to scale up too quickly, so I make sure that I can satisfy that one customer. I'm not sure what their long-term needs will be, and so I'm going to grow my flock a little bit naturally through the hatching program and just kind of keep up with them. Maybe later I will go out and get other customers, but I imagine for right now they're it. It the eggs that I sold at the farmer's market just had a sticker on the top that I printed at home with my computer. Um, they don't need the fancy packaging. They want the connection with the farmer. That's what they're in it for.
Sure.
So yeah, there's no need to spend money on high end packaging like that for other places.
Okay. Battleborn Urban Farm says, how do you get your eggs tested for nutritional values?
There are labs in the country that will do that, and I researched it, but it's been quite a while, so it's not on top of mind. But if you do a Google search, you can do that. One thing I can do is it's probably a cheat, but I can just see I can copy nutritional content off of another quail egg carton, because they've paid to have that done, and that information's out there. I don't, yeah, but I'm just curious to know how the feed makes a difference in my eggs versus what's available commercially. I know it makes a difference with the taste. Um, but it would be good to be able to say, yes, we have more B vitamins, or yes, there are more,
Mm-hmm.
omegas or whatever.
Sure. Okay, Del Choo Choo says, do you have a backup plan for the case that your demand triples? What about if people suddenly lose interest in the quail eggs? What then?
Okay, so two-part question. Uh, the I have had moments where I've had molting happening, as many of you guys have experienced. Like, they'll stop laying a little bit when they're molting, and the grocery store that I work with is really good about just understanding, like, I'm not going to be able to meet their demand this week, and they're patient and they wait. Because I'm the only one doing it, they don't have the option of going with anybody else. So yeah. But if demand dropped off, there are specialty markets in the area that serve the same demographics. So there's three or four. One of them is a Japanese market. One of them tailors to chefs. There's another one that is that specializes in butchering and specialty foods. So there's other markets in this area. In San Francisco, yeah. If I needed more customers, there's like a
Right.
whole big metropolitan area that I could tap into, but I'm not even close to saturating this market.
Okay, I'm sure she already knows now, but Lauren wants to know, what do you use to wash your eggs?
I use the Stromberg's egg wash, and because I was happy with it. It is stronger than most egg washes. Some of those egg washes have like citric acid in it, and
Mm-hmm.
a couple other common things, but I feel like I'm extra careful. So that's what I'm comfortable with using.
Okay. Battleborn
It's
Urban
a powder.
Farm. They want to know what is your YouTube channel? Boy, I can't talk tonight.
I don't have a YouTube channel. I have a few videos up for hatching at home. If you were interested in learning how to incubate and hatch eggs, I've got some there at Hatching at Home. But yeah, I don't. I have a day job that I'm trying
Sure.
desperately to leave and work full time as a farmer. So yeah, shooting out some more of those pinballs, and I'm hoping to score big
Well,
enough to quit my day job.
there
And
you
I'm
go.
sure there's a lot of you out there who are in that same situation, just
Oh yeah.
wanting to go for it full time.
Rhineck Poultry in Avery says, have you seen any of the genetic issues with the celadons that others have had?
Every once in a while, I get the funky eggs with the blue ring around it, the misshapen eggs. Um, but you know what? Just the other day, I noticed this. So no, my stock came from Alchemist, and they're no longer in Sebastopol. And it's a chicken breeder, and she also does celadons. Did celadons? She's not doing it anymore. So this season, I'm going to get males from another hatchery and mix those in. But so I haven't raised a lot of generations of them. So I'm probably not the person I'm definitely not the authority on
Sure.
breeding. I know enough to know that I want somebody else to do my breeding because there is so much to it.
Right.
So that's why, Terry, I'm glad that you have those new videos up and available on breeding, because it's something I definitely want to learn more about. Um, I did notice, though, when I give free choice calcium, and I'll take their eggshells and I grind them up in my coffee bean grinder and set them out there, I do notice a difference in the quality in the eggshell. And if I
Huh.
forget to put that free choice calcium out, then I do notice a difference. So I maybe it's not genetics, maybe it's some of it has to do with feed. But the
Mhm.
birds are healthy, so I have no complaints. I love them. They're beautiful. I wish I could play with color a little bit more, but I have no. There's no. Yeah, everybody's brown. I
Okay.
have a few light ones.
I was
That's
just
it.
going to ask you what color all your birds are, but you just answered that. So,
Brown.
Northwoods Quail says, since you only sell celadons, do you worry about all this talk about the celadons having issues being bred? And it's been, oh, I just dropped my thing. Oh, where'd it go? Well, luckily I got one in my other ear. Um, oh, it's been stated that something breeders should not be breeding.
Mm. I will let the breeders decide. And for now, I'm enjoying them. I love these birds and I love the eggs are beautiful. I'm just taken with them. So I hope that if the breeders are honing in on some problems with this line, this particular recessive gene, that they can figure out a way to preserve it. And there's a lot of smart people in our community, and I think they'll do it.
Well, as you know, now that you mention it, there are some people that are working on that right now, and that may be another guest down the road. But I think most of that applies to multiple generations of breeding. You know, I
Hmm.
don't think you're going to run into an issue, you know, your first generation or so.
Yeah.
Uh, Yusef Freezer says, who is your target audience?
So yeah, uh, for the quail eggs that I have now, it's the high end market, and that was a purposeful decision. I do sell so about 20% of my eggs have too much speckling on them. They look like they're still blue, but they're the regular
Yeah.
speckled eggs, right? So about 20% of those are speckled. I put one in the center of the egg carton, and then the rest I keep and I sell them directly from my farm. And I've got customers, two regular customers who are going through cancer treatment, and I've got another one who has Lyme's disease. So they come directly to the farm, um, and I sell them for much cheaper.
Okay. Henriette says, great presentation, Linda.
Thank you, Henriette. Appreciate that.
JD says, would you please comment or share advice on liability insurance?
Yeah, it's going to be hard to find. Um, I believe that the I went through an agent who works with farmers because I knew this was going to be difficult, and I believe he got it underwritten by Colonial. Don't quote me on that. But find an agent who works in the agricultural sector and put them to work, and they can find it. It's more expensive than I like. I don't I wish insurance didn't exist. I
Right.
understand the need for it, and so yeah. So good luck.
Let's see. Adirondack Quail Farm says, we really enjoyed your presentation.
Thanks. I showered, did my hair, and ironed the front of my shirt for you guys.
Let's see. Klaus says, Linda, that was awesome. In my country, it's difficult to just break even on selling eggs for eating. Feed prices are from 60 to 90% higher this year.
Ooh.
People here also don't understand value.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's definitely educate, and that's the nice thing about being in this market is that there are a lot of Asian communities here from
Right.
everywhere, including India, and they already know and are used to cooking with quail eggs. But
Right.
yeah, you have education to do,
Yeah.
and it's yeah.
He also says, are you also selling meat or just eggs? How did it look like bringing 320 chickens to your property?
We kicked the goats out. We had some goats. We kicked them out of their pen, and my husband was building furiously. We were not ready for them. We just decided we were going to start, and so it was kind of pandemonium. It was a fun experience, but whew, boy howdy, a lot of work. Quail are so much easier. Quail are easier, right? Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
I agree.
What was the other part of that question? I think I missed. Oh
Um,
yeah, I'm not selling meat because I have to have a USDA processor, and the closest one that does quail meat is very far away, like hours away.
right.
So I process them, and then we put them on skewers and enjoy them.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're for us.
Okay.
Thanks.
Klaus also says, when I was selling eggs for eating, for every 60 plus eggs, I added scissors. If they did bring the empty packages back, they got a discount. Also, another idea.
Love that idea. Thanks for sharing that. That is
Yeah.
awesome. Love it.
Lauren wants to know, what incubator did you send for your hatching program, and do you also supply the brooder?
Yes, and we we do the Brinzy or Brinzea. I've heard it both ways. Those one of those
Brinzia,
red
yep.
Brinzea. Okay, I use the Brinzea Mini to Advance. And those are super reliable. Love them. I've sent one back that I thought had an issue and it didn't have an issue. So anyway, they have good customer service. Really love them. But I do provide the brooder. It's a big, one of those plastic tubs from Walmart
Yep.
with the lid. And yeah, happy to share more information on that. Terry, we're getting interested about the hatching program, so maybe we should do a separate program on that one
There you go.
down the road.
Uh,
People are
Klaus has more questions for you. He says, aren't you afraid of your privacy if anybody can basically come to visit? After one crazy person, I had to install a camera system on my house. People are unpredictable.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Unfortunately, the crazy people that come onto the farm are not my customers. They are, like we have um, a drug addiction problem in this country, and
Yeah.
so sometimes we've had unwanted visitors who got into the house in the middle of the night, and yeah, it
Wow.
happens.
That's
It
scary.
happens. It is. But we were lucky, but yeah, it's a risk with any business, our farm business, and um, I just believe in the goodness of people, and I hope for the best.
Okay, Robert says, sorry I missed the first part of your presentation. How many birds do you run per square foot in the aviary? Wonderful presentation.
Oh, good question, Robert, because I actually forgot to say this. So the aviary is 40 by 8 foot. So that's, what is that, Terry? I can't do math in my head.
320?
320 square
Yep.
feet. And so right now, I also like lost count when I was moving quail in because I was moving them in from a different area. And I've tried to recount, but they won't hold still. I think I have 75 or 80 in there. And interestingly enough, a lot of those are male. I probably have 15 to 20 males right now,
Oh,
probably more than I should have. I tested the fertility rate because I was really worried that the girls would be able to run away in the big aviary, right? And hide and get away from the boys. So I did a test batch of 37 eggs and I set them, and 35 of them hatched.
well,
So better than when they were in the breeding hutch in smaller
sure.
groups. So that was good. But oh gosh, what was the beginning part of that question? Oh, how many? So yeah, that's how many I have.
Yeah, how many?
I could have more. I could have a higher density. I kind of like having a lower number because I don't have to clean as often. It's and they have enough room to get away from each other. I have not had a single incident of male aggression. No
Cool.
scalping, no eyes pecked out, nothing at all. So I love that I can have the males and have them live in harmony with each other if they have more room. If I added more, I might have problems.
All right.
Thanks, Robert.
James says, have you had to put any time into your genetics? How many generations have you kept your birds for?
I have probably 3 generations, and I'm going to do an all in, all out. So my birds are almost all of them are about a year and a half. So this coming season, I'm expecting a lot of hatching customers and a lot of people bringing in quail babies. And so I'll band all of them as they go in, and then I'll cull all of the older ones and bring in some males from another line to kind of restart things. So that's
Okay.
my plan.
Brian says, how many birds do you have in your aviary, and approximately how many eggs per week do you sell?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Because this is a new account, we're starting to get repeat customers. I'm selling more every week, and because I just put them on lights maybe like a month and a half ago, I'm getting more. So I'm collecting between 45 and 50 eggs a day right now, and we're selling all of those. And so as my production has increased, so has the demand. So that's worked out really well. Yeah.
How often do you have to restock the store?
2 or 3 times a month. So it was
Okay.
like, yeah, they were. I was estimating that they were going to do about a case a month, but it's been, and a case for me is 16 dozen, or 16 cartons, because I've got,
Right.
they're not dozens, they're 15. And so I think we're at like 2.5 to 3 per month right now. But again, it's just kind of getting
Sure.
started. So I expect that to increase. And if it doesn't increase, I'll go to those other specialty markets. I'm
Okay.
basically lazy. Um, it's an
Aren't we
easy
all?
way to sell. I just drop them off at the grocery store. They do the work for me.
Exactly. Henriette says, do you think that the eggs are tasting differently without the free soy, corn, and non-GMO MGO? I was trying to read the line up, and never mind. You don't want to know.
Getting punchy. So yeah, I don't know because I haven't compared Hendriette, but that would be if I had a smaller group set aside, and I may do that. That's actually kind of a good idea. It's just like put another group aside and feed them the traditional corn and soy based feed, and then do a blind taste test. My husband and I love doing taste tests. We do it with
There you go.
wine, we do it with bottled water, lots of things. So we that would be a fun test. So yeah. Anybody
Okay.
else want to try that out there? I'd love to know. Can you taste the
Sure.
difference?
JD says, what do you do with the roosters not used in breeding?
I eat them. They're delicious.
Yep.
Yeah.
Invite them to dinner. Okay, James says, have you had any gene problems with the celadons, hatching, mortality, or malformation related issues?
Nope.
Nope, that's good.
Yeah.
Beginning investor says, do you find that you have to bring in other genetic lines now and then to keep them going?
I will. Yeah. Because like I said, I have the Alchemist stock, but I want to bring in another line
Okay.
with the males. Yeah.
Okay, I got a question here. It said, Terry, any licenses or certificates needed for having quail in Florida? Coming back somewhere next year, want to be informed. Basically, if you keep more than 50 quail, you have to have a permit. It's, I think, $25 a year through Florida Fish and Game. It's real simple to get, but 90% of the time they don't check, so you probably get by without one for a while. Let's see. Okay. Lauren says, I've had my celadon line for almost a year, third and fourth generations. With adding in genes from my other lines, I've not had any issues at all with the celadon eggs. So there you go.
Good. Good. Yeah. With chickens, we have Ericanas that have the blue gene, and those have been used to produce other, the olive eggers and other things, and
Sure.
that seems to be holding. So I want to think that it will hold for the celadons as well.
Okay, Klaus says, if having eggs selling in the supermarket, are you allowed to keep the roosters as well? How about storage of the eggs? Do you also clean them for the supermarket? Is that allowed?
Yeah, I went over that in my presentation about how I clean the eggs. In California, the law here is that you have to clean your eggs. I don't know if that's true with every state in the union, but I know in Europe it's different. In Europe, the law there is that you can't clean the eggs because you
Right.
take the bloom off. And
Yep.
so egg producers have to be very careful and meticulous about cleaning. And because if they get an egg that's poopy, they can't sell it. So yeah, it's a different mindset here. We just expect that the living conditions are not going to be clean,
Right.
and so we have to wash.
Okay. James says, do any of your hens in your aviary get broody, and do you let them set?
I have not. Yeah, I've noticed broody behavior. I have not let them set because it's cold, and it's. I'll let them in the spring if they want to, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But
Sure.
it's going to be too cold for those babies, and I imagine that they wouldn't continue to set like that. I probably wouldn't get a good hatch rate, and I need their eggs right now. So
They're to make money with, not babies.
yes, right.
That's what I'm trying to get mine to go broody. That was one of the reasons I built the aviary.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I love your aviary. I watched those videos, Terry, that you made about your and how you updated it, and
Yeah.
the guest that you had on from Australia. Is she from Australia?
Tamara and Katia. Yep.
Yeah, who talked about the deep litter method. Like they were awesome.
Oh,
So
and that's
thank
working
you.
out excellent, by the way. The deep litter
Good,
method, I love it.
good.
Okay, Klaus has looks like one of two. Also, if getting back your incubator from your customers is the proper cleaning, up to you. What
Mhm.
if they use the dishwasher? My friend is running incubators, and once one person brought it back and said, "My dishwasher cleaned it very well." Do you explain to them that they can or can't do that? Kind of a tutorial or something?
Yeah, I tell them that I have to sanitize everything that comes back, so don't clean it, and I'll do it for you. So they're happy with that. But some people go ahead and clean it, and I just have to take my chances. Again, you know,
Sure.
yeah, somebody may mess up and put it in their dishwasher. I hope that never happens.
Okay, let me see. Okay, here's the La Rochelle farm says, I have used soy free feed for both quail and chickens and did not notice a difference in taste. Only difference was the $2 more per 50-pound bag of feed for soy free. So there you go.
Yeah. Yep. Again, somebody let's do that taste test, you guys.
Sure. The Rochelle farm says, with you needing a continuous supply of eggs, I'm guessing you used additional light due to the shorter days. And how many hours are you providing of light?
Yeah. So in my reading, I heard that they need between 15 and 14 and 16 hours of light. So I've got them on 15. They are they seem to adjust well to it. I wouldn't do it for a chicken because chickens have longer lifespans. If these were pet chickens, especially, I would not do it. But because I'm doing the all in, all out method, they're all going to be culled at 2 years anyway. I decided that if there was a detrimental effect um, that I noticed in their behavior, that I would turn the lights off. But I have not noticed that yet. It may limit their lifespan a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not an issue for us. So, good question.
Okay. Henriette wants to know how the taste test went. So as soon as we do it, Henriette will let you know.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that brings us down to the bottom of our question list. If
Okay.
anybody else has a question, go ahead and post it. Um, Lauren, if you want to select a couple winners, I need one for the Coturnix Corner Live coffee cup, and I need one for the $50 certificate from Hatching Time. And they need to be in U.S. In order to be a winner. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to go over real quick. First off, any guys, are there any more questions? Let me see here. Question. I don't understand this one, but the Rochelle Farm says question or comment depends on how you want to see it.
Maybe there's another part coming to that.
There could be. Um, I do have a couple things that I want to say before we close out. Okay, Veronica just popped in. Welcome, Veronica.
Hi, Veronica.
The Rochelle Farm says I would be worried about not having my own breeding stock to control celadon eggs.
Yeah, and that's eventually I'll do the breeding, but I don't feel confident in my abilities and my knowledge to
Mm-hmm.
do that right now. But yeah, I think that's a really smart thing to do is have control over that.
Yeah, and I think it's so new that we're finding out that that there may be an issue with the celadons. It's going to take more research, to figure out exactly what's causing it and what can be done to eliminate it. So
Yeah, I would like to see documentation. Like And I know Klaus has done, he did that fantastic presentation, but Klaus and other
Hmm.
people who are breeding celadons, it would be great to have an informational storehouse where we know, like, okay, out of this many, this problem presented itself at a specific generation, and so that all of us who are involved in breeding and continuing on and selling celadon eggs and birds can benefit from that that community knowledge. I think it should be shared and quantified, like, so kind of make it scientific so we can see, oh, that happened, but it was at such a small rate that
Hmm.
we maybe don't need to worry about that.
Okay. S.O. Swanson says, Linda, I want to thank you for your joyful, useful information. I missed a portion, so I'll start at the beginning again. Yeah, watch the replay. It's well worth it.
Thank you. I
Obviously,
had
we do
fun
got
putting
some
it
more questions.
together.
Yeah, and you did all the work for me. I love it when that happens. Victor says, are Celadon quail more aggressive towards each other? Have Celadons, and they act way different than my original birds.
Mm. I only have celadon, so I have no idea. That would be a great question for somebody who has both. Um, I haven't noticed a difference. Yeah.
Okay. Henriette says, great show, Linda and Terry. Definitely going to take these tips into consideration for selling eggs in the future. Rochelle Farm says, great job tonight, Linda. Very good.
Thank you.
And I do have my winners here as soon as I unlock my phone again. Jesse Nolan, you are selected.
Yay!
You're going to get a Coturnix Corner coffee cup. And James Dahlheim, I guess it is. You're going to get the $50 gift certificate from Hatching Time. James, if you can send me your email, either email it to me at terry@coturnixcorner.com or contact me over on Facebook. You can message me over there. All I need from you, James, is the email address and your name. And then Jesse, from you, I need your shipping information. And same thing, terry@coturnixcorner.com or hit me up on Facebook. Jasmine Bass jumped in and said, Linda, you're an amazing human. This was incredible. Yes,
Aw,
it was.
thanks, Jasmine. Thanks. I love the quail community. We're awesome. I love
I do
us.
too. Yep. Shelley says, thank you, Linda. Fantastic and engaging presentation. Jesse Nolan says,
Thank
oh,
you.
thank you, Linda and Terry. Jesse, yes. Don't forget to send me your shipping info. Okay, guys,
Congratulations.
that brings us down to the bottom of the list, and we've got our winners chosen. Um, I do want to say another shout out real quick to our sponsors. Guys, that's not our sponsors, that's coffee cups. Support our channel, if you would, by visiting our sponsors, hatchingtime.com and southwestgamebirds.com. They're both excellent companies to work with. Next week's guest is Austin Tucker, and he will be talking about small scale urban homesteading and sharing tips on how to overcome some issues that you may run into when trying to keep quail, in an urban environment. So join us next week, Tuesday, for that. I want to thank all our guests, or our guest, not all our guests. I want to thank our moderators, our
Oh
guests,
my.
and everybody for the wonderful questions. Man, I need to get me some food or something. I don't know what's going on here. But thank you guys for everything. I really appreciate it. Linda, I really appreciate you taking the time, for the
Thank you. Thank you for having
presentation
me on.
and putting on. So it was great. Guys, join us next week. We'll be back here with Austin Tucker, and everyone have a great night. We'll see y'all later.
Good night, everybody.